All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another NBA regular season video. This is the weekend wrap up, but we are going to be talking about some headlines from the past week, in the last couple days, some trade rumors, some players that might be available, might not be available, players that are frustrated, teams that might already be willing to blow it up. Some other headlines include Cade Cunningham signing a new 6-year shoe deal with Nike and will receive a signature shoe in the future. The Lakers cleaning house in the front office. What else we got here? Domantas Sabonis, partly torn meniscus. We'll talk about that a little bit. Um, Tim Bontemps reporting that the Grizzlies are expected to explore the trade market on John Morant. Two other guards right in front of you that might be on the market: Trae Young, LaMelo Ball, and we have the Anthony Davis stuff. He's in a lot of trade rumors as well, and the Kings might be ready to blow it up. Some D'Angelo Russell stuff. We got a bunch of stuff to get to here, man. So if you like what I'm saying, like the video. If you have your opinions, comment down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. So I was gonna do this in a bit of a different order, but something just came across my desk that I thought was super interesting, and it's about one of my favorite players. So I want to put it right here at the top. Um, this is from SBJ on uh, Twitter, the Sports Business Journal. Apparently, this is reported. Steph Curry was reportedly frustrated that Under Armour could not land Caitlin Clark and felt they didn't invest in his brand enough. This is coming off the heels of him leaving Under Armour with his brand, quote, Curry brand, end quote. And this is pretty damning. This is pretty damning stuff. But it falls right in line with a lot of the stuff that Under Armour has done, or for lack thereof, haven't done. Um, Under Armour has always been fighting an upwards battle versus Jordan, Nike, Adidas. Even at some point, I think Under Armour might have been more popular than Adidas, but since Adidas has had guys like James Harden in the past, um, now have Anthony Edwards, who's the new face of the brand, have some other guys on the roster, um, some women on the WNBA side as well. It becomes increasingly harder, and this would make me pretty upset too, because Caitlin Clark being, I don't want to say necessarily that Caitlin Clark is the female Steph Curry like some people would say. I think she still has to prove that moniker, but in play style and name alone, and sort of the crossover that could happen, especially with the brands and the leagues, the WNBA and the NBA. I would want this too if I was Steph Curry, and I'd be very upset that you literally just lost her to the brand that gets everybody these days, Nike. I'd be upset about that stuff too. And uh, they didn't. The end quote here is he felt they didn't invest in his brand enough. Is very true, and I said this when the news broke. The ads were very far and few between. Um, some of the some of the stuff wasn't great. I think this sounds stupid, but they had a hard time marketing Steph Curry because he wasn't in a winning environment, quote unquote. The Warriors are such in flux at this moment. There is no future for the team necessarily. Um, the future is now and next year. That's it, really. I think they did a great job when they won the championship in 22 as Under Armour. I'm not sure if he had Curry brand at that point quite yet. I think he might have, but I think they did a good job showcasing him and putting the ads on, putting the shoes out there, having the different colorways and stuff in 22. But after that, I understand the frustration and where Steph is coming from, especially with not being able to land. I mean, no disrespect, like if they would have been able to get Caitlin Clark and put her under the Curry brand, she would instantly become the second biggest name on that brand. I think other guys like De'Aaron Fox is on Curry brand, but like De'Aaron Fox has a cool logo, but I'm never like, oh, I really can't wait for De'Aaron Fox's new shoe. Like, no disrespect, I really don't care about De'Aaron Fox, and that's coming from somebody like me who actually likes De'Aaron Fox, and I followed De'Aaron Fox throughout his process when he was at Kentucky, into the draft process, as a Sacramento King, and now as a San Antonio Spur. De'Aaron Fox doesn't move shoes for me, doesn't move sales for me. Caitlin Clark does that. She moves sales. She moves. everything. And I think if she was on Curry brand, she would have her own shoe by now. I think that's the other thing that you could also be frustrated with is that Stephen Curry is the face of the brand. His name is in the title, for God's sakes. You need somebody to carry on the brand. Caitlin Clark could have been that, and I think that is rightfully so that Steph was frustrated with that kind of stuff. Um, moving on here. So yeah, moving on here. I guess in line with the shoe stuff, we'll move on to Cade Cunningham, Detroit Pistons star. Um, reached a new 6-year agreement with Nike to re-sign, and will receive his own signature shoe with the brand. His representatives tell XL Sports Management. His representatives at XL Sport Management told ESPN his signature shoe is expected to debut in 2026-2027. More shoe stuff. Um, I talked about this very briefly in one of my other videos, and I've had a chance to sit with it for a little bit and think about it, and this is a pretty big deal because you look at somebody like Cade in a smaller market. Um, I don't think a lot of people know. I think people are aware of Cade. They don't know Cade, and Cade isn't an outgoing personality like that. Um, and I don't know if well, let me say this: if you aren't aware, big guys don't sell shoes. Guys like centers, power forwards, they don't sell shoes. Guards sell shoes. Small like scoring forwards sell shoes. You know, um, so Cade has the upper hand in that respect, where he's a guard and he gets the highlights. He has the ball in his hand. He can do creative stuff, and he's gonna have the eyes on him. And Nike believes that he's the future of this brand, so to speak. You had guys like John Morant who are in the Nike system who haven't really gotten there, has been derailed. They tried to make him the face. I think John Morant has some of the best shoes in the game. Middle of your screen, top middle, number 12, has some of the best shoes. I really like them. If I was playing basketball at any frequency, at my age, I would probably have some John Morants. I think they're the best, the most colorful, they're the most unique right now. They're not too in your face like LaMelo shoe, um, but Nike putting some of their eggs in the basket of Cade Cunningham is interesting because one, my hope for many athletes in basketball who get their own shoe is that let's I know we all love Kobe's. I know we all love Kobe, you know, God rest his soul, and the shoes that he brought to the game and how he changed the game. But please, can we move away from the Kobe silhouette? We need something new. Nike hasn't invented a new silhouette of shoe in so long, and I hope with Cade his is a bit different because Cade isn't the flashiest guy. He doesn't have the highest hops, but Cade does a little bit of everything. He's a do it all point guard, and I think that's what makes him unique, and I think that's what also will help him sell shoes. And the other little wrinkle about this, and what I was watching a podcast, I think it was Gil's Arena, and they were talking about how Cade is probably going to be on the Olympic 28 team because for those who do not know, Nike sort of controls who's on the Olympic team, and obviously there are exceptions to the rule. They try to get all Nike guys on the Olympic team essentially. Um, they have that sort of pull with that with the national team, and they're the exceptions like Steph, like Ant, like Tyrese. Obviously, Jumpman as Jordan Brand and Nike are sort of intertwined, so they go hand in hand. You have guys like Jason Tatum was at Nike, but he's Jordan. Um, you have all these guys, right? Cade being a definitive lock for the 28 team is an interesting wrinkle to monitor as well. I just wanted to mention that here because I thought about it a little bit, but I didn't think about it fully until I watched that podcast, and I was like, oh yeah, these guys are right. This does give a little indication of if he continues on the trajectory he's on as Cade and he gets some deep playoff runs, gets some real experience, shows out, he's gonna be on this Olympic team in 28 coming up. Um, we'll save the Lakers stuff for last because that's a mouthful and there's a lot going on there. Um, The next news is for the Sacramento Kings, and I guess we'll get into this whole Sacramento Kings situation because this came out first. This is from Sean Sharani of ESPN on Thursday, so this was last Thursday. Sacramento Kings star center Domantas Sabonis has suffered a partially torn meniscus in his left knee and will be reevaluated in 3 to 4 weeks. Um, Stuff like that, like slight tears, they 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 don't they heal. But the thing is, you can't really do anything while it's healing. So you really just have to rest. And then you have to come back, get in game shape, play at game speed, and then you can play. So the 3 to 4 weeks is more like 4 to 6 weeks essentially. Because once it heals, then you have to come back and do all that other stuff, and then finally get on the court again, which would bring us towards what? Really close to All Star break. And this sort of started a domino effect. And there's been some bright spots with the Kings. I mean, Russell Westbrook has looked pretty good, but as usual, when he plays well, the team loses and they suck. That's just the truth. And it has all started to come down around the Kings franchise, as everybody predicted, as I predicted. This team made no sense to me. I looked at it in the preseason when I did my preseason stuff. I was like, "What the hell is this team? This team doesn't make any sense. It's old. It doesn't. Nobody does anything exceptional. Nobody's the star of this team. Everybody's just good to great. You have DeMar DeRozan. All this on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, Zach LaVine. You have DeMar DeRozan, who's at the end of his career, isn't anything special. You have Domantas Sabonis, who's just an all-star level center, and that's his peak. You have Zach LaVine, who's inefficient, who is inconsistent, and is only a highlight guy. And then you have a bunch of just random guys around that. You bring in Russell Westbrook to, you know, sell some tickets, show out a little bit. And he's done that. I think that's what Russ's gift at this point is him be able to show out and bring eyes to the team. But these are the kind of eyes you don't want on the team because everybody's seeing this team sucks. Um, it's being reported that um, from Jake Fisher, the Sacramento Kings are reportedly willing to trade anybody on their roster except for Keegan Murray and Nick Clifford. That means players like Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, Keon Ellis, Malik Monk, even Russell Westbrook could be available for trade. This was reported on when was this? I'd have to find the tweet on this. This was reported a few days ago, I believe. So yeah, I have nothing to say about this really. I really have nothing to say except I was right. I think everybody knew this team was going to be bad. I don't know in what world did you think, oh, let's try DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine again after the experiment failed in Chicago. They're both a couple years older than they were when they were in Chicago. They didn't work together when they played in Chicago that well. I mean, they played well enough to at some point look like a playoff team, and then that team crashed and burned because of injuries. You bring them in, you say, oh, maybe you'll work with Domantas Sabonis. Like I said, Domantas Sabonis is just an all-star player. That's his ceiling. Domantas Sabonis is not the guy. He's not. He gets outworked by guys when he was in his prime, Anthony Davis. He gets outworked by Jokic. He can't compete with these other centers who are in the different stratosphere than him because he's not that good defensively. His feet don't move that well. He has some moments of brilliance where you're like, oh my God, this guy is really good. Why is he on a winning team? And I think Demontis Sabonis being on a winning team and being like the number two, number three option is his best course of action for his career. He's not the guy. He's been suffering in Sacramento. Um, the trade to get him there when the Kings traded Tyrese Halliburton to the Pacers and the Pacers traded Demontis Sabonis to the Kings has worked out for the Pacers brilliantly. They made it to the finals last year, and Demontis Sabonis has been stuck in purgatory, absolute purgatory. um, this came out today as well that the Clippers are showing interest in DeMar DeRozan. Um, I'm not the biggest DeMar DeRozan fan. I will tell you everything wrong about DeMar DeRozan before I tell you everything that's right with him. I think he's a great human being off the court. I think he's nothing but a class act. But on the court, um, he should have been born like 10 to 15 years earlier, and he probably would have been an NBA champion and had a really great career. But he's stuck in an era where his play style is just okay, and he's at an age where he's just okay. And his career since Toronto has been sort of marred by, oh, this team doesn't really want him, this team doesn't really want him. And he's just sort of floated around and floated into ignominy. I believe that's the word. Just like He's just floating out there. You know, like in space, they have like floating pieces of like trash, like from rocket ships and stuff. That's what DeMar DeRozan. He's just floating in the stratosphere, and he's just waiting to come back down to earth or just crash back down to earth. You know, and the NBA has passed him by, and there's no surprise that the Clippers would want to bring in something. I mean, they are going to have that Bradley Beal trade exception. Um, I don't know what the trade would be. I won't give up too much for DeMar DeRozan. You would have to give me something to take on DeMar DeRozan if I go ask the Kings and say, hey, you got to give me something. You got to give me like Keon Ellis with DeMar DeRozan. You got to give me like Malik Monk with DeMar DeRozan. We make the money work that way. But adding DeMar DeRozan to an already old Clipper team doesn't sound fun to me. But keeping him in LA, he's an LA guy. He went to USC. Let him end his career there. This next trade for him might be his last stop in his career. I'm not sure he's gonna play again. Not because he's bad, not because he's good. He's just mediocre, and that's the worst thing you can be. And I always say this to you guys: the worst thing you can be in the NBA as a player, as a team, is mediocre. You're not good enough to retire tomorrow. You're not bad enough to retire tomorrow, but you're not good enough to demand like to be a number two option. And teams, if you're not bad enough to be in the lottery, but you're too good to make the playoffs, that's mediocrity as well, and that's the worst place to be in the NBA as a player and as a team. Um, Moving on to more trade stuff here. There was a report today that teams are anticipating that LaMelo Ball, John Morant, and Trae Young could be available by the trade deadline. I don't really believe a team would want to make a move mid-season for a point guard. And what I mean by that is in the NBA, it's sort of similar to the NFL, is where you don't really want to bring in a point guard or bring in a quarterback that's going to run your offense mid-season. It becomes very hard, and it becomes sort of a lost season if you do that. And I'm going to pull up here. Um, Let me pull up Basketball Reference here, and we can go through some teams here. Um, and we can talk about what teams need a point guard or what teams could maybe facilitate this trade. And before we do that, before we do that, I want to talk about who I think is more likely to get traded out of the three. LaMelo, left of your screen. John Morant, middle of your screen. Trae Young, top right of your screen. I think Trae Young is the least likely to get traded. I think it's LaMelo next, and then I think it's John Morant. I think Trae Young is just playing the game. He needs a new contract. He wants money. The thing is either at this point he's injured right now, I believe as well. Well, he was injured. He just wants a new contract. I think I am of the firm belief I like the Hawks personally without Trae Young. Personally, I love the group they have right now, but I've also watched them with Trae Young, and I'm like, I also like this group with Trae Young this year. I don't know what their ceiling is. I really don't. But I'm intrigued enough to say, hey, let's just keep Trae Young around. Now, if Trae's gonna ask for some really big money, then we start to run into another problem of like this team is gonna get very expensive, and I don't know the ceiling. I'm not paying Trae Young a ridiculous amount of money just to be our ceiling be an Eastern Conference Finals team. Or maybe the Hawks are okay with that. Maybe they're okay with that. And maybe they think, oh, we can just break through one year like the Pacers did. We'll be okay. And they'll just keep rotating the guys that are in their talent pool already. Guys will get better. All stuff like that. I don't think I think Trae Young is the least likely. The LaMelo Ball thing. There were rumors last week that he was growing increasingly frustrated with the franchise. And then it came out a couple days later after that he said he loved it in Charlotte. I think both things can be true. I think he loves it in Charlotte. I think a guy who was in LaMelo's shoes about a decade ago at this point, Kemba Walker was in love with Charlotte too. But Charlotte doesn't go anywhere. Charlotte only moves laterally. Like they don't make any moves up and they don't make any moves down. Again, they're mediocre. They're stuck in mediocrity. Um, Plus LaMelo isn't a Charlotte guy. He's just not. He's too flashy. He's too big of a personality, and the NBA and everybody around LaMelo as well, I think, would want to capitalize on his usefulness and his humor and all the positive things about Lamelo. Even though I think he's a little bit immature, I think that stuff sells, and his shoes sell, and all this stuff. I think if you go to if you're a GM and you go to the Hornets and you say, "Hey, I want Lamelo. What's your price?" They would tell you something crazy, but Lamelo might be worth it. And the only other thing about Lamelo is you would have to sit Lamelo down and be like, "Hey, you got to wear ankle braces now. We're not we're not doing anything else till you start putting on ankle braces." Once he starts putting on ankle braces and starts taking care of his feet and his ankles, Lamelo's gonna be a multi-time All-Star sort of guy, a lead guard sort of guy on a championship team. Until then, until he starts taking his health seriously, until you get him around some real medical professionals that aren't from Charlotte. No offense, Charlotte. Um, he's just gonna be Lamelo, and I think he's fine with being Lamelo. But I see great things from Lamelo if he only took it a little bit more seriously. And then lastly, here, John Morant, middle of your screen, number 12. I'm not the biggest John Morant fan. He got into it with Klay Thompson the other night when he was in street clothes. He's an absolute, I should say clown, but he's an absolute piece of work. And we talked about him with the Nike stuff. Um, it, I really don't want to talk about John Morant because I'm gonna say something mean. I want to be mean to him because I think he has real talent. I think he's just been put in a bad situation, and he's never had the opportunity to really grow outside of his immaturity and grow his game because the team has been predicated on Ja. You are the engine of this offense. We need you to do absolutely everything every night because Jaren Jackson is inconsistent. Zach Edey isn't great offensively yet. Um, Desmond Bain is gone. Dylan Brooks is gone. It's literally you. You have to be great, and he can't stay on the floor. He can't stay out of trouble, and he's just a piece of work. And I don't know what team would want that, but some team might bite. Let's go through some of these teams, right? Let's go through the West because the West is easy. So three guards, right? We have Trey Young, bit of a smaller guard, playmaker, 3 point guy. You have Lamelo Ball, a taller guard, good in the passing lanes, defensively, great passer. 3 point happy, a little bit shot happy as well. You have Ja Morant, the explosive guard, the sort of all the way downhill, 110% sort of guard, and a bit of trouble off the floor and can't stay healthy. Now, relative, all these guys aren't healthy all the time. That's neither here nor there. I'm just giving you a little synopsis of all three guys. Um, let's go to the West. Oklahoma don't need a guard. Lakers don't need a guard like these three. Denver, they're number three right now in the West. I don't think they're going to change anything. Uh, Houston, perhaps, maybe, maybe. If I had to pick one, if I had to pick two out of these three guys, I would say either if I'm the Rockets and I just get desperate for a point guard, I go try to get Lamelo or Trey Young. That would be my best bet. Trey Young doesn't really fit the system, but he creates enough attention and you can hide him on defense with all the guys you have. Lamelo, similar thing. He's a bit better defensively, a bit taller. The Rockets have been running tall all year. I think he would fit it more, but I don't think you're quite desperate enough to go try and get Lamelo and try to fit him in mid-season. So Houston's a maybe. San Antonio, they already have enough guards. I don't know why. Maybe split the difference and consolidate your assets to go get the guard. Maybe it's a Fox trade for one of these guys. I don't know. Phoenix, I think they're a bit deep in the rebuild. Minnesota's intriguing. I don't know how you get that done though. Golden State, no. Portland's also intriguing for either three of these guys. Um, Utah, vaguely intriguing. Clippers intriguing for any one of these guys, if I'm being honest. Any one of these guys. Um, Dallas. Trae Young has been connected to Dallas for a little bit now, so we'll see if it might happen already. Sacramento, Pelicans, no and no. So that leaves what? So that leaves Clippers, Utah, Portland, Minnesota, Houston. So that's like what, one, two, three, four, five teams maybe that would want one of these guys. Maybe. Um, moving to the East here. Yeah, moving on to the East here. Detroit don't need it. Toronto's actually sneaky good. They're at the 2 seed right now. Toronto. Uh, I could see Lamelo in Toronto. That'd be fun. That make this team really fun. Cleveland, no. Miami's always flown around. Any one of these guys in the Miami system would be really good. I'm interested. And Tyler Hero's coming back soon. Apparently, that report came out a couple days ago. Um, Atlanta. So this would be a swap for Trey Young for anyone. Two of the other guys, Ja or Lamelo. Nah, I don't really like that. New York, no. Chicago, they are floundering. They've dropped a little bit since the beginning of the season. Uh, maybe, maybe I could talk myself into it. Maybe, yeah, I could talk myself into it. Um, Philly, no. Orlando. Orlando might be interesting. Not yet though. Maybe in a year or two. Maybe in a year or two. Maybe. Boston. Uh, no. Milwaukee. I don't think they can make any moves. Charlotte, again, this would be a swap for LaMelo and then one of the other two guys, Trey Young or Ja. No, I don't like that. Even though Ja is from the area of Charlotte. I don't know. Brooklyn, they're too deep in the rebuild. Indiana, no. Washington is one where I might like to see LaMelo or like Ja in that situation. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, so for all three of these guards, their hopes lie in the West, where maybe you might be on a better team and a team might want you, might be desperate enough to go get you. Um, speaking of desperate, speaking of desperate, there has been many rumors floating around that Anthony Davis could be available. And the Detroit Pistons have a lot of serious interest in Anthony Davis. Um, I would not touch this Detroit Pistons team. This Pistons team has 14 wins on the season, 14 wins on the season, two losses. They're one of the best teams in the East. They are the best team in the East. And I really like what they have. I think you hold out, right? Hold out if you're the Pistons. And you revisit this in the summer. Because I don't think anybody's trading for Anthony Davis. I think if you're the Pistons, you really see what you have. You see where you can get in the playoffs, and then you make the move for Anthony Davis. Or wait for something else to come along. The Knicks have also been attached to Anthony Davis. I'm not a big fan of that. I like the Knicks just the way they are. Even though the Knicks right now are sitting at 9-6, I think they're okay. They're fine. They don't. I would rather have Karl Anthony Towns than Anthony Davis at this point. I'd rather have Karl Anthony Towns who fouls out of games and actually plays in games versus Anthony Davis who doesn't play games at all. I think that'd be a negative asset. Um, some other stuff coming out of Dallas. From the Dallas Hoops Journal, D'Angelo Russell has reportedly rubbed several teammates the wrong way with his approach in practice and lackadaisical effort on defense. Um, that's the D'Angelo Russell experience, baby. That's the D'Angelo Russell experience. That's literally D'Angelo Russell for you. And I was thinking about this when I saw this report. I think this came out on like Saturday or Sunday. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, D'Angelo Russell is like a convertible. It's flashy, it's nice, you know. People love looking at your car like, oh, that's a nice car. They don't know the day to day trouble that car gives you. The roof gets stuck sometimes, you know. There's a hole in the roof, you know. Your blinker's stuck on. Like, you just get all these problems with D'Angelo Russell, and you get all these problems with a convertible. Like, it's nice, it's flashy, it's cool, it stands out. By like the second year you have that convertible and you have D'Angelo Russell, you're just sick of it. You're like, get rid of this thing. Get me something more dependable. Get me a sedan. Get me an SUV. You know, that's D'Angelo Russell. You don't want D'Angelo Russell to be on your team. If D'Angelo Russell is to be traded, um, it will be a seventh team in his NBA career and has made multiple revisits to teams as well, notable including the Lakers and Brooklyn. And those teams had him twice and they got rid of him twice. So that's D'Angelo Russell for you. Um, some other stuff here. Getting into hold on, the meat and potatoes here. I just want to check my Twitter real quick and see if I have anything else bookmarked that I want to talk about. I don't think I do. I do. No, Laurie Market is in trade rumors again, but the asking price is crazy. Um, yeah, I think that's it. Oh yes, this report. I wanted to, this came out on November 19th. That was a bit of a while ago, but this is per Shams Sharani of ESPN. The NBA is trying to find ways to reduce injuries. And I quote: "The league is launching a league-wide biomechanics assessment program. More than 500 players have already gone through the level of testing. There are 4 rounds of biometric testing that will still need to be completed for the rest of the season, and that's going to be used to optimize performance and try to reduce injuries moving forward." Yes, that's a crazy one. Um, and this is from Bobby Marks as well. More on Dallas. Um, Front office insider Bobby Marks on the Mavericks' financial situation and how, and now, and looking into the future, it's probably the most dire that it's ever been in franchise history. So yeah, Dallas is floundering right now. Um, yeah, let's move on to the big stuff here. The big thing that I really wanted to talk about that happened last week, at the end of last week. This is from Shams Sharani on Thursday, reporting for NBA Today on Lakers firing minority owner Joey and Jesse Buss from the front office positions, with Jess saying Dr. Buss's idea was for Joey and I to run basketball operations one day, but Jeannie has effectively kept herself in place with her siblings fired. So yeah, if you didn't know, last year, at the end of last year, or in the off season, the Lakers sold to a new owner. He also owns the Dodgers, and Jeannie Buss stepped away from the team. She's still involved in some basketball capacity, but her brothers were um, involved in more basketball operations and stuff in the front office. And Dr. Buss, God rest his soul, was their father. Um, and he owned the Lakers through, I believe, the early 80s and the 90s, or the late 80s, the early 90s. And he ran this team. And he handed it over to the kids. That was the plan. And Jeannie and family have been running it for a long time now, since the Kobe years. Um, and there's been some ups and downs. There's been some reordering before, and this is just the latest in the reordering. And it's a bit of a slimy move by Genie, but that's what they say, that right. Don't work with family, don't work with kids, and don't work with animals, right? Um, Especially if you're trying to run an NBA team. um, I have a bunch of stuff here. Let me get through this here. Um, a statement from Joey and Jess Buss. We are extremely honored to have been a part of the organization for the last 20 seasons. Thank you, Laker Nation, for embracing our family every step of the way. We wish things could have been different with the way our time ended with the team. At times like this, we wish we could have we could ask our dad what he would think about all of that. Yeah. Um, I don't think they're too upset. I think the reported thing afterwards was they both got paid $1 billion in the termination clause, so $1 billion to go away doesn't seem too bad to me. Um, um, Another report saying she fired everyone. Jess Buss said of Jeannie Buss, dealing with other family members who would have worked for the organization. Um, Let me see. It kind of soiled quite a bit, dating back to before, I guess, the 2023 draft. Uh, Jess said by phone, I guess in a phone interview of sorts. Um, let's see. Let's see what else we got here. The Los Angeles Lakers are reorganizing their basketball operations department and terminating executives Joey and Jess, the respective front office positions effective immediately. The brothers told ESPN the Los Angeles Lakers are reordering their basketball operations, terminating them, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I think this is a good move. All things considered, all the drama aside, I think this is a good move. Just get rid of the whole thing. Be a proper team. Not saying the Butts family did bad. They did a lot of great things, but when you got a new owner in the building, they want their own stuff. They want their own people. Obviously, the Dodgers have been massively successful over the last 2 years, especially. So you have somebody in an owner who's expecting that level of success from his newest investment. I think he wants to bring in his guys, his people, and continue his legacy, his own legacy of really good sports teams in Los Angeles. Um, and the next report here is two Dodgers execs working with the Lakers. Um, so there you go. Um, let me see. There was a Genie Bus quote that I. Oh, okay, here we go. Oh wow, this is a lot of. There's a lot of words. Wow, I'm not reading all of that for you guys. I'm sorry. Um, what, what, well, let's zoom out a little bit, right? Let's zoom out. Um, this is going to be an interesting last half of the decade for the Lakers. You have LeBron, who's probably going to retire in the next 2 3 years, probably next two. You have the face of the franchise in Luca, who's definitively the face of the franchise, and you have more than ever the pressure to put talent around Luca and keep the team great, not just good. You can't just be good as the Lakers. You have to be great. And I think with cleaning house like this, setting yourself up for the next couple years um, is a good move. And it seems like Jeannie had such a hand in this when she probably shouldn't have. I don't know why she would have such a hand in this when she's not even the owner anymore. But I don't I don't know why the new owner just didn't do this and Jeannie sort of kept her hands out of it, but what do I know? Um any other stuff I want to talk about? Oh, there is something I want to talk about. More shoe stuff. More other stuff. Um there was one more thing I saw before I clicked record on this video for you guys that I thought was super interesting and super fun. Um Jordan Brand just unveiled its class of 2025 NIL athletes. Kyan Anthony, son of NBA superstar uh, and retired player Carmelo Anthony, who's at Syracuse, um, Sarah Strong, who's at UConn, and Cameron Boozer of Duke, son of um, Carlos Boozer. So Jordan Brand just got some more reinforcements for their brand. And I believe that's it for the weekend update. Um, let's go. Let me see. Let me see. I do want to just scroll through the last couple of days of games here. See if there are any big performances I missed out on. You got a maxi 50-point ball versus the Bucks on Thursday. Yeah, okay. You got what else we got here? Anything else fun? James Harden, 55 points versus the Charlotte Hornets. Oh, I almost forgot. This reminded me. Chris Paul announced his retirement. He's officially retiring at the end of the season after, was it 20 something years? Yeah. So that's a big thing. And he announced that in Charlotte because his first career stop was in Charlotte with the Charlotte Hornets. So congrats to Chris Paul on a great career, and we'll talk about that more probably at All Star break when I have a little bit more time to delve into Chris Paul and his career. But we all thought he was going to retire. He didn't really announce it. He officially announced it. So congrats, Chris, on a great career. Franz Wagner, 37 points. Um, Jaylen Brown, 35 against Orlando. Donovan Mitchell, 35, 37 against LA Clippers. Yeah, yeah, not a lot of great performances this weekend, but a lot of news. So I hope you guys enjoyed the little update on the news. It's just a compilation of all the stuff I wanted to talk about over the last couple days and stuff that I don't think really deserved its own video, but you got all your information now. You're caught up on the new stuff. Obviously, we will keep you posted. I will keep you posted on the developments of all this stuff, and we'll see what happens throughout the course of this NBA season, heading into the last end of the month of November, heading into the last month of the year in December. And yeah, so if you like what I say, like the video, posted 2 videos this weekend. Check those out. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Cheers.